I know I often say read the title of the video to know what we're talking about, but I literally named the script of this video talking about furry visual novels. Will that also be the name of the video itself? No idea, so I really should explain it. This is a way for me to finally get to talking about a lot of the games that I hadn't managed to talk about before. It's going to be loose and free form, a stream of conscious version of those 5 recommendation videos I make all the damn time. Anyways, let's get this video started with a new visual novel on the block, Spark Hearts. The first thing you should know about Spark Hearts is that it's really new, and I do mean like really new. Like, it hasn't even had its second major update at the time of recording this, meaning it's basically just the initial chapter. That being said, it does lay some good groundwork. It's a fantasy story set in a world where people are tasked with propagating virtue or the world ends or something yada yada yada. Our protagonist is Mark Chikyugi, often nicknamed MC, a hilarious pun I love. He's been accepted into University Historia to become a historian to learn the errors of the past and guide the future. Of course, he's not alone, being joined by a few new classmates. My personal favorite being the Tanuki Sigmund Popwell. He's a full-time student, but also a full-time businessman, managing both being a historian and running his own medicine company at the same time. I also like Bishop Grant, this Forsburn-looking motherfucker, and Len Luciano, because she's cringe. But what really gets me about Spark Hearts is that if you pay attention, you can already notice the contradictions in the world. Like I said, it's all based on propagating virtues, but there's hints that maybe society isn't living up to its own ideals. All these new historians aren't exactly the models of virtue they're supposed to be. And what is the subsector that Mark hails from, and why does it seem like people are forbidden from leaving there? And lastly, if people being virtuous is supposed to keep their world from going to shit, what's with all those newspaper clippings in the beginning? This is why I think this initial update is a pretty good first chapter, because it sets up the characters and leaves a lingering question that the story will likely answer in the future. Furthermore, Spark Hearts is pretty unique for indie visual novels since it was made in Unity instead of Ren'Py. Oh, actually, I think it's Ren'Py, but I genuinely can't remember how it's pronounced. I'm sorry. You can see this in the way the models are actually placed in a 3D environment, and you can kind of shake the camera around with your mouse. And Spark Hearts actually has voice acting, which is pretty sick, especially for an indie game, and I'm not even just counting visual novels. It's too early for me to tell a lot of things about Spark Hearts, but I super duper look forward to more from it. Before I continue, let me tell you to like and subscribe and donate to my Ko-fi and Patreon. Supporters get early viewing and previews, and also access to a Discord server where you can recommend me your favorite games and movies and stuff. The next visual novel I'd like to talk about is called Where the Demon Lurks. It's a visual novel I've been wanting to talk about, but I've honestly just been waffling on actually doing it. I'll probably throw it in the next 5 Furry Games video, which should come out, don't ask questions. Anyway, Where the Demon Lurks is another fantasy visual novel, all about Kobu, the new King of Hell, or well, former King of Hell. He didn't really take to the job all that well, which explains why one of his subordinates rebelled, forcing the demons to live amongst humans. Though all is not well, in fact it's more like bad and worse, because things in hell have only been getting harder to deal with in the should-be ruler's absence. Even heaven is getting involved as ghosts begin to get loose, but Kobu didn't even like ruling hell to begin with. But when his human friend gets attacked, he might be forced to step up and be the ruler he was born to but doesn't want to be. There are 2 things about this visual novel that really got me. The first of which being Kobu himself. What stands out about Kobu is that he's pretty much a loser. At the beginning, he reeks of unearned influence, ruling as King of Hell only because he got it from his late father, a job he proves to be pretty bad at. And in the human world, he's still kind of a loser, working minimum wage, spending his paycheck on anime, and scrimping by. Damn it. Why did I write shrimping by in the script? What the fuck is wrong with me? Yet, he's kind of like Travis Touchdown from No More Heroes, where him being a loser just makes him more likable. Yes, he's a loser, but he's also a good person, so you want to see him succeed. The game does have 3 routes based on who you decide to help get Kobu back to hell. The first is the pretty boy angel, Lucian. He's very good boy coded, unsurprising since he is a dog, but he also has a bad habit of making everything look gay. The second is Morris, the boar exorcist, who's definitely a little shady, but his heart seems to be in the right place. And finally, Toast the Ghost, who can best be summed up using Where the Demon Lurks in-game notebook. This ghost is dumb. The second thing that made me fall in love with this game is how kinetic it is. From sprites actively flipping around when characters turn to objects flying across the screen. Even moments like this are just so endearing. I've only played Lucian's route, but I really should get to playing the others. I will move on because wow, I talked about this game way more than I originally planned to. There's like 2 more visual novels I want to talk about today, so I'm flipping a coin to see which one. We got Tales, so the second, or damn, this is like the third visual novel we'll be talking about, is Polar Night. This visual novel used to be on hiatus due to the creator's poor health, but now it's back in action. The visual novel is all about the Arctic research vessel, the Aether, that suddenly went missing a year ago, crew and all. But the loved ones left behind pull together enough funds to chart their own vessel to try and see what they can find. But things are already going wrong. Will they even be able to survive on their own ship, let alone find the Aether? This visual novel thrives on atmosphere, really letting you feel that you're on a boat in the middle of the Arctic chasing after vaguely defined shadows. And that's helped in no small part due to its cast of characters. Like, I genuinely think the biggest danger isn't some sort of monster or ship malfunction, but each other, because oh my god, they make the Echo niggas look like a well-oiled team. Fights break out all the time for like no reason at all in a way that makes you dread seeing more than like 2 of them in a single room. And it's not just in the group dynamics, the characters themselves have their own dysfunctions. Like the protagonist is the wolf Garrett Reed, and he didn't want to go on this trip at all to begin with. It was Garrett's brother who presumably died on the Aether, but it's not like Garrett likes him. It was his brother who scratched out Garrett's eyes, which still gives him chronic issues to this day. He only went because his mother was distraught over her son going missing, and now Garrett has to wonder if he'll die on the ice too and leave his mother all alone. And that's part of what makes it interesting, because while all these characters are ticking time bombs, none of them are bad people. They all have their own motivations, and sometimes when arguments don't happen, it really does seem like if the Aether didn't go missing, and if all these characters met up for whatever reason, we'd get a nice slice of life visual novel. The characters wouldn't get along completely, but the Aether is just this giant bomb. It going missing made all their lives worse, and even just talking about it does too. It's a visual novel that's tense in its own original way. I honestly can't wait to see how the characters fuck things up for themselves in the next update. And the final visual novel we'll be talking about today is one I've wanted to cover for a long time, and I really do mean a long time. Like, to put it into perspective, my first recording of it is from last year. January of last year to be specific. Like, I've been sitting on this for a full year, files taking up space on my computer for no reason. And what's the name of this special little visual novel? Rain Check. Fair warning, this footage is old, like hella old. I know for a fact that some of the stuff you'll be seeing, like the sprites, have definitely been finished, and the UI was even updated. The second thing you must know is that this visual novel is rated 18+, and for a good reason. I would have streamed it if not for the explicit scenes. It does have a setting to turn them off in the menu if you'd like that though. This visual novel follows the tiger Theodore, who's supposed to be attending a tech expo when he finds himself caught up in a conspiracy. Investigating these dark machinations is the wolf love interest, Rue, a detective working for the private investigation firm ARC. And then there's Rue's buddy, Javier, who's smart with tech and disapproves of Rue getting Theodore involved in all this. Especially considering he's an untrained civilian, a fact that may come around to bite Rue in the ass. This is a bit of a side note, but I can't get over how big he is. Like, usually Anther stuff pays attention to animal sizes, but not here. Theodore may be a tiger, but Rue is a fucking Dark Souls boss with how much bigger he is. Look at this. Anyways, Rain Check is a detective story following Theodore as he gets in over his head, as seemingly disparate things like a missing piece of tech, drugs, and a harbor fire link up. I will admit, it does get overwhelming because each of these things are layered problems. But that actually brings me to the thing I like most about Rain Check, that being its accessibility features. The game has one of the best summary features I've ever seen, not just giving you recaps of the story, but letting you quick select to that moment. If anything would convince me to make a video about this game, it would be that, since it makes gathering footage super easy. It even has splits and markers to help you know when the story has branched out due to your choices. I'll probably get to doing that sooner rather than later since it would be super easy. And since I have a little bit of time left before I need to upload this video and make it go live, I might as well do one more visual novel. Have you ever heard of that one game, Rivals of Aether? Well, it got a joke visual novel for Valentine's Day called Lovers of Aether. Okay, actually, I'm pretty sure it's pronounced Lovers of Ether, but I'm just going to ignore that. It's mostly a joke visual novel, so it's short and free to play. Granted, all the visual novels I've covered are free to play. Actually, did I mention that before? Yeah, all these visual novels are free and there's a link in the description. Sorry about that. It's a basic high school dating sim where you pick who you want to take to the homecoming dance by simply talking to them. The characters from the game are wonderfully flanderized. We have the tyrannical student council president Maple, the sports jock Zetterburn, and even the emo poet Forsburn. The game does have one mini-game, but it's honestly nothing too complicated or impressive, something you'd see from a Flash game on a website. You're really just here to look at the nice sprite artwork and romance your favorite goofy character, which I know sounds reductive, but you can beat the entire game in like 3 hours. There's really just not much for me to talk about. Honestly, for what it's worth, as a free little joke game, it's pretty good. Now with the video out of the way, let me tell you to like and subscribe, go with Patreon, live streams, yada yada yada, you know how it goes. Now let's get to the Patreon shoutouts. For our 3 stars, we have special thanks to Choron, SkyKing64, 87 Werehog, Grand LaFazor, Chow Venomous, Arlubum378, The Good Old Days, and Jay Stassi. For 4 stars, we have Mickey Moon, McCoides, and Otterly Aw, The Spy Family. And for our Super D2 special 5-star shoutouts, we have Hodari Lion, The Tantadon. Thank you for watching, do be sure to like and subscribe, and as always, this is your host Furry, signing out.